Or do you believe in ghosts? Ever imagined what it's like to live in a haunted mansion? Ah, the thrill of the unknown, the allure of the supernatural, and the spine-chilling suspense that accompanies the journey into the unexplored. Welcome, dear listener, to a tale that begins with a group of friends, embarking on a journey that will test their courage and their beliefs. The excitement of the unknown hung in the air as Emma, Mark, Sarah, and Jason set out on a journey that would forever change their lives. The destination, a grand yet eerily foreboding mansion that promised an adventure of a lifetime. As the friends chatted and joked, their excitement was palpable, their anticipation was infectious. Emma, the ever-enthusiastic adventurer, reveled in the idea of living in a place that seemed straight out of a movie. Mark, with his nervous laughter, acknowledged the creepy vibe the mansion emanated, but it was their shared curiosity that propelled them forward, closer and closer to the mansion that stood waiting in the darkness. As they arrived and unloaded their belongings, the mansion's grandeur was undeniable, yet it was marred by an unmistakable sense of foreboding. The friends entered the mansion, their chatter echoing in the grand foyer. Sarah's observation of the mansion's size was met with Jason's playful mockery. But beneath their banter, a sense of unease was beginning to creep in. The mansion seemed to come alive as the night fell, its atmosphere growing more eerie and unsettling. Emma's playful question about their readiness to spend a night in a haunted mansion was met with laughter, but the chilling breeze that swept through the room, extinguishing the candles, put an abrupt end to their mirth. As the whispers filled the air, the friends exchanged uneasy glances. Jason's serious acknowledgement of the strange sounds was a stark contrast to their earlier laughter. Emma's nervous suggestion of the mansion being haunted hung in the air, a chilling end to their first day in the mansion. The mansion loomed ahead, its grandeur marred by an undeniable sense of foreboding. Welcome, dear listener, to the journey of a lifetime. Welcome to the haunted mansion. As the friends stepped into the grand foyer, the air seemed to thicken with a palpable eeriness. The mansion stood like a towering relic from a bygone era, its grandeur marred by an undercurrent of foreboding that was impossible to ignore. The walls whispered ancient secrets, and the air was heavy with the scent of old wood and forgotten stories. As they ventured deeper into the mansion, the sheer scale of it began to sink in. The high-vaulted ceilings echoed with their footsteps, and the labyrinth of rooms and corridors seemed to stretch out endlessly. It was a world unto itself, a world that seemed to exist outside of time. It was grand, it was majestic, but it was also intimidating. And then there were the sounds. The creaking of old timber, the distant echo of a door slamming shut, the soft rustle of unseen things moving in the shadows. The friends tried to brush off their unease with jokes and laughter, but their smiles were tinged with apprehension. The mansion was speaking to them in a language of sounds and shadows that they couldn't quite understand. As they explored, they found themselves drawn to the intricate details that were scattered throughout the mansion. The ornate carvings on the banisters, the faded tapestries that adorned the walls, the dusty chandeliers that hung from the ceilings. They were remnants of a time long past, echoes of the lives that had once filled these halls. And yet, despite its grandeur, the mansion was not welcoming. It was not a place of warmth and comfort, but a place of cold stone and darker secrets. The friends could feel it, a prickling sense of unease that lingered at the back of their minds, a whisper of danger that was impossible to ignore. As they continued their exploration, they couldn't shake off the feeling that they were not alone, that the mansion was watching them, listening to them, waiting. The friends tried to shake off their unease, tried to convince themselves that it was all in their heads. But the mansion had other plans. As night fell, the mansion's aura shifted from grand to sinister. And in the dancing shadows of the candlelight, the friends couldn't help but wonder what lay in store for them in the coming hours. The mansion held its breath, and so did they. Gathering in the living room, the friends faced their first night in the mansion with a mix of excitement and trepidation. The air was heavy with anticipation, their laughter echoing through the vast, empty halls. The grandeur of their temporary home was marred only by an underlying sense of unease that pricked at their senses. Emma, the ever-optimistic adventurer of the group, was the one to break the silence. "All right, who's ready to spend their first night in a haunted mansion?" she asked, her voice playful but a hint of nervousness seeping through. Her question was met with a chorus of laughter. It was a comical notion, a haunted mansion, the stuff of campfire stories and cheesy horror films. Yet as their laughter died down, a chilling breeze swept through the room. It snaked its way through the cracks and crevices, extinguishing the candles they had lit to stave off the encroaching darkness. The room was plunged into a semi-darkness, the only light coming from the flickering fire in the hearth. Sarah, the most pragmatic of them, was the first to question it. "Did anyone leave a window open?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Her question hung in the air, unanswered. The room had become eerily quiet, the playful banter replaced by a chilling silence. And then they heard it. Whispers. They were distant, barely audible, like a soft breeze rustling through the leaves. But they were there, a constant murmur, growing louder with each passing second. Jason, the skeptic, was the first to acknowledge it. "Okay, that's not the wind," he said, his voice serious, his usual sarcastic demeanor replaced by a sense of dread. The room fell silent, the only sound the distant, eerie whispers. The friends exchanged uneasy glances, the reality of their situation slowly dawning upon them. This wasn't just a grand old mansion. It was a place with a history, with secrets lurking in its shadows. And as they settled in for their first night, they couldn't shake off the feeling that they were not alone. Opening. The whispers grew louder, undeniably real and not attributable to the wind or their imagination. As the whispers echoed around them, a sense of unease spread through the group. The laughter and excitement from earlier in the evening had evaporated, replaced by a tangible fear that hung in the air as thick as the fog outside. Emma swallowed hard, her eyes wide. Are we sure this isn't some kind of joke?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. But even as she spoke, she knew the truth. The sounds they were hearing were far too eerie, too otherworldly to be of this realm. Mark, always the skeptic, tried to brush it off. "It's probably just echoes from the storm outside," he suggested, but his voice lacked conviction. Deep down, he too felt a creeping dread that he couldn't shake off. Sarah, ever the realist, was silent. She stood still, her eyes darting around the room as if trying to locate the source of the whispers. Yet even as she tried to rationalize what was happening, her heart pounded in her chest, each thump echoing the chilling whispers that filled the room. Jason, the bravest of them all, looked uneasily at the old portrait on the wall. The eyes of the figure in the painting seemed to follow them, the gaze unnerving and piercing. It was as if the portrait was alive, watching them, whispering to them. A cold shiver ran down his spine. "Guys," he said, his voice barely a whisper, "look at the painting." As they turned to look, the whispers grew louder, the eyes in the painting more intense. The friends exchanged uneasy glances. The joy of their new adventure had morphed into a nightmare. What started as a fun challenge, living in an old mansion, had become a chilling encounter with the unknown. The room fell silent, the only sound being the whispers that seemed to come from the walls themselves. They looked at each other, their faces pale and their hearts pounding. The reality of their situation was sinking in, closing. Maybe this place really is haunted. The friends had arrived at the mansion in high spirits, ready for a year of adventure, but something was beginning to shift. As the day turned into night, the grand mansion that had initially sparked their excitement began to loom ominously over the group. The echoes of their laughter, once ringing with thrill, now seemed to bounce off the cold stone walls and return as eerie, distorted echoes. The mansion, grand and majestic in daylight, was morphing into a chilling spectacle under the cloak of darkness. Emma's playful question, "Who's ready for our first night in the haunted mansion?" had been met with laughter, but the sudden gust of wind that extinguished their candles left them with an uneasy silence. A silence that was soon filled with whispers, whispers that didn't belong to any one of them. Sarah's question, Did anyone leave a window open? Seemed to hang in the air, unanswered, as they all knew that wasn't the case. The cold breeze that swept through the room wasn't just a gust of wind, it carried with it a sense of foreboding, a chilling prelude to the haunting they were yet to face. Jason's comment, "Okay, that's not the wind," only confirmed what they all were beginning to suspect. The mansion was not just an old abandoned building, it was a host to unseen entities, whispering their tales into the silent night. The old portrait with the eyes that seemed to follow them around the room added another layer of eerie mystery to the mansion. Emma's nervous comment, "Maybe this place really is haunted," was no longer a joke. It was a legitimate question, echoing the concerns they were all beginning to harbor. As the whispers continued, the friends could only wonder, what were they in for? The mansion, with its foreboding grandeur and unsettling whispers, seemed to be a Pandora's box of secrets waiting to be discovered. Their year of adventure was turning into a year of haunting mysteries. Find out in the next episode.